Good morning and welcome to the ASAP Industry Leader Live series. Today I'm delighted to have John Wagner, who is the co-founder of Amsterdam-based Cycas Hospitality, with me. Cycas is a hotel management company specializing in extended stay and double-decker hotels. It combines hands-on skills in hotel management with real estate expertise. The focus of the company is to acquire, develop and manage a diversified portfolio of branded extended stay and mainstream hotels across Europe, with a view to having 10,000 rooms in the Cycas portfolio by 2022 to make their properties the best places to work as well as stay. John, thank you so much for being with us this week.
Pleasure. I'm flattered by your interest. Thanks very much.
That's a pleasure. So, John, we've got a lot in common. We were both in the airline business some years ago. Tell us a bit about how you've arrived at this point and why on earth would you choose hospitality?
I always wanted to be an airline pilot when I was a little kid, and bad eyesight prevented me from doing that, although I did get my pilot's license. I went to work for United Airlines as a fallback solution. And met a long time ago, met a vice president of Marriott Hotels on an airplane. And we struck up a conversation. I was working for United at the time. I struck up a conversation, and long story short, he made me a job offer at the time. This will tell you how old I am. Marriott, there were 26 Marriott hotels in the world at the time. I left United, took a 40% pay cut to go to work for Marriott Hotels. Nobody had ever heard of them. I had heard of them. But he convinced me that the company had a future. It sounded interesting. I joined him. And this sounds very Machiavellian and make it sound that way intentionally for dramatic interest. 2 years later, I had that guy's job. It's not as if I stabbed him in the back. On the contrary, he left for other reasons, but I ended up having his job. Totally coincidental. But anyway, that was a long time ago, and ended up working in quite a few Marriott locations because the company was then and still is growing very fast. I moved around a number of spots, a number of hotels, got involved in the hotel business and liked it. Related to the apartment business, halfway through or a few years after I was in the mainstream Marriott hotel business, I got interested in and got recruited to go to what was then the Residence Inn Company. They were a brand new concept, hotel rooms with kitchens. For heaven's sakes, why would you ever do such a thing? What a silly idea that was. And there were very few of them, but I joined the Residence Inn Company, and one way or another have been in the quote apartment or apartment hotel or all suite hotel ever since then. So that's a very Reader's Digest version of how I went from the airline business to the apartment or the service department business.
So some say we're exiting this period of pandemic. Some say we're not. It hasn't even started. What's your view, John, on this COVID-19 tsunami analogy? Where are we in your mind?
I feel the worst. I'm typically a positive person. I'm a glass half full kind of guy. I always have been, and I think I still am. But despite saying that, I'm desperately afraid that the worst of this whole pandemic thing is still in front of us. I think the analogy that you just referred to, the world has had a giant earthquake, and there's been lots of damage and destruction. Euphemistically, of course, damage and destruction to economies and businesses and lives even about this. But now we find ourselves standing at the shore, scratching our head because we see the sea has gone out. All the water is out. And we're standing there knowing full well it's about to come back in this giant tsunami. This, again, euphemistically I'm speaking, this giant tsunami of economic impact is in front of us and is going to do far more damage than I think the initial damage of the earthquake of the virus. The jobs, the companies, the people's lives are going to be negatively impacted by the depression that will occur in world economies. I think I'm very fearful of it until there is some until people are starting to get injections for the virus. I don't think that travel or life indeed in general will resume. It won't come back to normal until there is a vaccine for it. Corporations will be afraid to send people traveling. Um, there are conferences and exhibits just won't happen in any meaningful way. Major commerce will not happen. Big companies won't allow their employees to travel for all kinds of reasons. And I think that until there's a vaccine, the next months, uh, hopefully it won't last longer than that, are just going to be desperately difficult. It'll be the modern day equivalent to people selling apples and pencils on street corners. Whatever that modern day equivalent is, I'm afraid is in our immediate future here. So
you would sound very pessimistic. We have to be optimistic because we have to plan for a recovery of some kind. What are you doing what are your thoughts about planning for a recovery within Cycas?
despite my negative feelings or fears about the immediate future, I think the good news is two things. One, different from any past depressions or recessions, there's plenty of money out there, and the underlying fundamentals of economies and businesses remain sound. And so, when there is a vaccine, I think this often described V-shaped recovery is a very likely scenario. I think it will come back pretty strong, pretty quickly, pretty robustly once there is the vaccine. I think at that time there'll be so much pent up demand and frustration with staying at home that I think companies and people in general will be so eager to get out that it'll come back pretty quickly. The um, it, all of us have participated in Zoom calls and conferences and working from home and so forth, and you hear so many people predicting what's going to happen in the near future. I've stopped paying attention to most all of those forecasts because they're all based on historical performance and similar things. Let's face it, there isn't anything similar. Nothing like this has ever happened. And so to base it on what happened the last time there was a recession or an outbreak of SARS or Ebola, all that stuff, interesting to make the comparison, but I think nobody can make a claim that it's going to be analogous. You can't do that. Nothing like this has ever happened. And so in order to prepare, in order to recover, it's not so much your ability to forecast, which is a normal business event and function. You forecast what's going to happen and you prepare for it. Now, the successful people, and hopefully our company will be one of them, Cycas will be one of them, it's how quickly can you react to the circumstances you're presented with today. You almost literally on a day-to-day basis, you wake up and read the headlines about what's happened, what's been announced, what's going on in the world or the economy, and you have to react to it today. Government interaction, travel restrictions, philosophy, and you don't have to imagine very nice. Anybody who's watching this, just think of how their own views and perceptions have changed in the last days, let alone weeks and months. It's different today. I guarantee you it's different today than it was even a week ago. And it'll be different a week from now and 2 weeks from now. So successful companies, successful individuals will be the ones that can adapt and adjust and respond the most nimbly as things are presented to them. That's how you prepare, is just be ready to react.
Mm. And in terms of, well, at least what you can say from within Cycas's perspective, what are your future opportunities then? What are you investigating? How are you looking to exit this period of pandemic and challenges that we're facing?
Cycas is in a really good position in that we've got a lot of hotels, we've got a lot of strong people, and we've got a really strong balance sheet. And so we've got the cash, we've got the wherewithal, we've got the structure underpinning the company that we're fine. And what's going to happen? We're lucky or taking opportunities as they come to us. Not everybody is as lucky as we are. Not everybody is in the same position. I don't think I know, because we're starting to see them already. There's opportunities for consolidation. There's opportunities for acquisition. There's opportunities for partnerships that hadn't been conceived of before, because people's needs and perspectives are different than they used to be. We're in the lucky position that we're going to be able to capitalize on some of those. We're going to be able to continue to grow our company. We're going to be able to continue to be successful with the hotels that we run when they come back. So yeah, perhaps as dire as the immediate future would be, I'm really optimistic about the midterm or long range prospects, not just for Cycas, but indeed for the whole of the industry. It will come back. Despite my negative views and outlook on the near term, I still have this underlying faith in mankind in general. There is going to be a vaccine, and people are going to come back. We are going to respond to this as mankind will respond to it. We will get better. This isn't a permanent situation, but it is something we have to get through. Cycas will get through it. I will get through it. You will get through it. We'll all get through it. Difficult as it is, we will.
Mm. And you know, I remind a lot of people when we're having conversations and presentations and events that we are very firmly in the hospitality space, and the importance of innovation in our world and the importance of ever changing evolution and innovation within the service department and extended stay industries is such an important part of what we do. You are leaders of innovation within Cycas. What are your thoughts around the importance for innovation then moving forward from here?
The whole of the service department business, broadly calling this service department, whether it's extended stay or all suite hotel or corporate housing, frankly, for this discussion, they're all synonymous in my mind. The things that all those segments have in common, the rooms have kitchens and they cater to people that stay longer than a few nights as compared to hotels. That those industries, those segments have all evolved over time, and it is the foundation of what Cycas is. It is guest service, hospitality, that friendly approach to your customers that come with you. I think there's still room in the market for simply a building where you check in and you get your key and you never see anybody. Those are more on the residential end of the spectrum of the lodging industry. But I think the industry is moving closer to the hotel end of the spectrum where there is service. And so Cycas has always based its place in the marketplace, its positioning, if you will, is we're the folks that really make friends with our customers, where there's a friendly and warm and genuine greeting. There is positive interaction. There is aggressive hospitality, and that we want to get to know the folks that are staying with us. They're not just guests, they're temporary residents. And because they're living with us for a while, we want to get to know them the same way we get to know our neighbors at home. They're people from different backgrounds, and it's interesting to learn about them and get to know them a little bit. That's what Cycas does. And yeah, I think the whole of the service department business is probably evolving in the direction of more hospitality oriented, more service oriented, more friendly familiarity with its customers versus the very basic meat and potatoes. Here's your key, there's your apartment. Tell us when you've checked out. Thanks a lot, goodbye. There's a room for that, and there's still customer or companies that do that, and successful companies indeed. But I think it's moving towards hospitality in a positive way. I think that's good for the industry. That's certainly good for the customers.
Mm. And when it comes to customers' expectations, you know, we've seen over the years that we've been doing this that expectations and awareness of the service department world, specifically extended stay here in the UK and Europe, has not really been at the forefront of conversations. But do you see that that transition has changed over the last few years? Do you see that expectations and customers' awareness within the service department world has improved?
Yes, without question. I'm old enough and ugly enough. I remember I made reference to my early days of residency in the U.S. Back then, so many years ago, I can't tell you how many times I heard from hotel people, investors, from bankers, from customers, a hotel room with a kitchen. For heaven's sakes, I don't cook at home. Why would I cook when I'm in a hotel room? What a silly product. I never want to use that. And now in the U.S., it's roughly 10% of the whole U.S. lodging industry are rooms or hotels that are properties that are like that. I hear the same thing still today. I hear the same thing from bankers and investors and developers. A room with a kitchen, for heaven's sakes, who needs such a thing? What a silly thing. But now, as people experience it, and credit where credit's due. A big part of that credit goes to Airbnb for introducing rooms with kitchens, if you will, in the form of apartments or houses. So many more people have tried it on not only leisure travel, but on business travel, and went, gee, that's not so bad. I can use the refrigerator to put some apples or a salad in, or last night's takeaway that I didn't finish. I can put it in there, and gee, there's a cooktop. I can heat up a bowl of soup because that's all I want for dinner tonight. And so the convenience and the functionality of a room with a kitchen has increasingly got appeal. And as that word spreads, as people continue to use it and they see it, it only enhances the credibility of the segment. And it's not right for every occasion. Sometimes people want the super luxury of full service hotels, and fair enough, there's plenty of room for that. But so many more people are recognizing the space and the convenience and the functionality of staying in a room with a kitchen. It's bound to grow. It's bound to grow from the relatively small percentage it is today across Europe in terms of the total lodging industry. I think in the not too distant future, it'll start to push towards what is in the US, this 10% of the lodging business. We'll get there in Europe. I'm sure we will.
Well, John, you're an amazing spokesman for the industry. Thank you very much for being with us today. Really appreciate your time. I know how busy you are and how much is going on within your world. So we really appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thanks, James. Again, I'm flattered by your interest. Thanks very much, and talk again soon.
Bye for now.